Hi friends, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing 3 ways that I use Faux Stitching on my 6x8 layout. I'm using 49 Market, the Flower Emporium collection. I love this collection so much. And to begin, I'm using a 6x8 pattern paper in green for the base. And then I'm trimming down the other pattern paper about a 1/4 inch on the left side and the top, just so that when I mount that paper to the center of the base, it has a nice green border around the layout. And then I'm using the journaling card that I have here as a nice base for the center. It has a lot of decoration to it, and it's going to be perfect to bring in some color for this layout. And I'm adding the photo behind the die cut frame, and then I'm going to go ahead and here's the first way I use the Faux Stitching is the border has Faux Stitching, and you can't even tell. From a distance, you can't tell that that's not a real stitch, and I love that. Then I'm going to go ahead and mount the journaling card here, and then I'm going to add some greenery at the top just to kind of create a nice layer of embellishments there. And then I like my tags, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this down just a little bit so that I can just fill in some of that space at the top. And then the second way I use Faux Stitching is I have a rubber one that has Faux Stitching. I like the rubber one. I just didn't want the green part because it kind of clashed with the other green and it doesn't quite match. So I'm going to fussy cut this out and then cut it down just a little bit. I'm going to glue the tag down first before I place that down with the greenery, because that's going to cover across there. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that down just a little bit. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to rub this down. And I just love that. Look at the Faux Stitching on there. It just adds so much to the top of the layout. And so I'm going to go ahead and gently peel this off just to make sure everything transfers on the paper. And then I'm going to add some string. Perfect. Cut that down a little bit. And now I'm thinking, I like the bird. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to put him. My initial thought was I was going to put him at the top, but he kind of hangs up there. And so I figured he would be better at the bottom. And then I have the rub on sentiment definition here for patience. I'm going to go ahead and put this down just to fill in the space down there. My whole point is I was looking for like a vintage feel for this layout, but pretty and chic, and I just love how it came together. And so I'm going to go ahead and tuck this down here. I'm going to glue the top a little bit because I didn't staple the top there, and that way it doesn't fall off. And then mount this down here, being careful to keep that frame straight. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, the excess, and I'm going to use the excess piece that I cut. And you can use it for like the edge of the border frame. You can add it on the bottom there, and that's what I just added because it just looks nice from top to bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and fluff the rows up a little bit so that it's not flat. And now I was going to use this, but it's too big and it doesn't work. And now I'm going to go ahead and look for some type of title. I don't have a whole lot of room, so I went ahead and used a small sentiment from the puppy stickers. And then I am looking for something else. I kind of want to add a heart, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to go ahead and back the frame up with the blue pattern paper. I was thinking it would go with the layout. It's blue, the sky is blue type of thing. And then I wanted to put this up down here at the bottom just to kind of fill in that space a little bit with the label. And I didn't have any other labels that would go, so I had to stick with the orange, but it's okay. And so I made a mistake here. I put the label on there too far up, and now it covers my dog's face. So I decided I can't take it off now. So I went ahead and cut the frame down and just used it this way. And then I put that piece up the top there. But I did that later. And so it's not the end of the world when you mess up. Just find another way to cover it up and move on. And then I'm using my ruler to create lines on the label to add some journaling. perfect. And then I'm just looking, I feel like the bottom needs something else. And so I found this little vellum die cut. I'm going to glue this down here. And then I felt like it was out of place there. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I like the heart too. So then I'm looking and I'm going to go ahead and cut the rubber one out. Cut it down a little bit. And then add it down there to kind of pull that together. So that it's not like floating on its own. And that worked out. And then I was going to add the heart. I like the black heart, but it doesn't kind of work out with it. So I went back with the heart that I had initially, the green, stapled it right on the bottom there, and I like how that looks. It looks great. And now I'm going to add my third faux stitching by hand using a ruler and a pen. So I'm just drawing a real small line around the layout, and it's very small, just a little something. And then I'm going to add some scribblies, and there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Do not worry. It's supposed to look a little messy, so just scribble your lines over there and you're done. I love this layout. I hope you're inspired to try to add some faux stitching to your next project. And I appreciate you stopping by today. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.